I didn't think anyone lived this deep in the woods.
We do. What are you hunting for up here?
Bear. Anybody up at the lake today?
You can't be hunting for bear.
How about kids? Are any kids, vacationers, people like that?
Yeah, a bunch of kids moved in yesterday, right next door to us.
Welcome back to the Haddonfield Horrors podcast, where we review horror movies and horror movie franchises. I'm Mark.
I'm Rudy.
I'm Tawan.
I'm Maria.
I'm Kennedy.
And today we're watching Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, released in 1984, directed by Joseph Zito, screenplay by Barney Cohen. The fame of this movie is called Friday the 13th when everything happens on Sunday the 16th. But before we get into any of that, Tawan, can you give the people a plot summary?
Picking up immediately after the events of Part 3, the plot follows a presumed dead Jason Voorhees who's escaped from the morgue. Jason travels to Camp Crystal Lake, where a group of friends is staying for the weekend. The teens meet some locals, Tommy, Corey Feldman, and Trish, played by Kimberly Beck, as well as secretive hiker Rob, played by Eric Anderson. As the group of teenagers engages in drunken debauchery, their numbers begin to dwindle and pieces of the past resurface.
Like I mentioned, this is taking place on Sunday the 15th, not Friday the 13th. But I don't know, I like this movie. I mean, it's continue. I mean, I complained with the last two movies about the stupid 15-minute long flashback reel they had, but this one kind of made sense because they thought this would be the last. They thought it was just gonna be the last movie, so giving a big highlight reel of the first three made sense. But overall, Maria, since this was your first time watching this movie, what did you think?
It was it was kind of dumb. There was a lot of scenes where I was just what the fuck is going on right now? There was a lot of things about the movie that just seemed so comedic, and I had a lot of questions, I know it happened right after the last movie, but I was still very confused, because I mean with the whole brother coming because his sister died, but it's your sister literally just died. I don't know. I feel like I had a lot of questions watching the movie, right? Because it was, I don't know, it was, and a lot of things they said was so dumb. I don't know, it was. It was an okay movie. I mean, I just felt myself asking a lot more questions and being more like, why the fuck would they do that? Than actually watching and enjoying the movie. So
What about you, Tuan?
Um, I think I like this one better than 3. Yeah, I think if I recall, I think I passed on 3, and so I think I would say I like this one a little bit better. They actually feel like they actually tried to give the characters something to do, but also they were just. I think you said this too, Mark, but they were horny. Like they were do oh but I forget what the character's name was. Even the one guy, he the one character, I forget his name. He just kept talking about how horny he was throughout the whole movie. He's even watching fucking porn or
Ted.
low. Yeah, he was watching porn before he died, and I'm like,
Porn
okay.
from the 30s and 40s, silent porn where they're just dancing around naked.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, and they were really horny in this one. This amped it up. It's I guess because they were all so horny, they just all deserve to die. So we got that out the way. But um, yeah, they gave us a little bit more with these characters, but I don't know. I personally feel like the movie could have been scarier if he was just fucking with the family the entire time. Now, the kill count would have been obviously way lower, but maybe they could have included more people in the family, and he's haunting them in the house, kind of I forget the name of those type of movies, but movies like Panic Room and stuff, where they're in like one location the entire time, like something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and like they're all getting like haunted by by Jason from the outside if they're like trying to leave or things like that. So I feel like that could have been like cool, because like there's no need for them to like cross over. Um, there, like I felt like there was no need for the family to really cross over with the other group of friends besides Tommy seeing them naked, and then the mom obviously was like mad at that. But besides that little crossover, they
She just seemed annoyed the whole movie, and I had no idea why.
moms, right? Especially white moms, they're always annoyed.
Oh my.
Um, but yeah, like I feel like it could have been it could have been a little bit better, at least in my opinion, if they focused just more on the family, especially with the way things go from what I read. And yeah, but I didn't have a bad time watching this one. I definitely like the kills and such in this movie as well.
Rudy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Tawan. I think it was the best one uh, that I've seen besides the previous ones. That I thought part two and three were kind of blah. Like this one at least had better death scenes, and like the characters were like somewhat likable, even though like you guys said they're horny characters, but it kind of like amps it up, and it just gets you entertained because they're like, even Maria said it, like they say some stupid shit, and like that's meant to be like campy and just, I don't know. I guess they tried to like turn it into a comedy. They usually turn horror movies into comedies with the sequel, so I don't have any complaints with this one. I actually like it better than the previous ones so far.
Kennedy.
Well, I like the movie. I think it's silly in a good way. Jason, I think you could kind of take him not seriously. You know, he's a different. He like the Friday the 13th movies just have like a different tone from like the Halloween movies, where Michael you kind of just take him serious all the time. But Jason, like him getting whacked in the face and grunting and stuff, like I expect that from Jason. Um, but I thought he was kind of terrifying too when I was watching. I would just watch the movie before doing the podcast, and just when he's chasing Trish at the end, like just this big hunk of a dude just like running after you. Like generally, like when we talk about like these slasher killers, like you don't see them running or anything like that, and they just kind of like appear out of nowhere, like in the next room or whatever. But like to see him actually chase you and how big he is, I thought was a little, definitely raises the tension there. But I like the movie. It introduces Tommy Jarvis, Corey Feldman, which is always a good thing. But I will say that this movie did spawn one of the worst maps in a video game of all time in Friday the 13th, the video game. Because my God,
Really?
the Jarvis map sucks.
Actually my favorite map from the video game.
It's the
It's
hardest.
like it's the big house, and like that's
It's
personally my
it's
favorite
the
one to play.
hardest because like everybody is so separated. All the
That's why
counselors
it's
and
my
stuff.
favorite. It actually puts you in like peril because you could be by yourself and like the killer can just come.
Well, I guess it is realistic in the way that there's a low chance of surviving. Kind of like in the movie, Jason's gonna kill you basically if you're not the main character, and I guess it's true in the movie.
But I will say that this movie is the last time we have a human Jason. Jason has been a human. He's been alive all this time. He didn't drown in the lake, but after this movie, he dead as fuck. Just putting it out there. But speaking of that, Maria, what is a kill that standed out to you? Good, bad, weird, anything.
Um, let me think about it, because I guess like when he killed the first girl, I forgot what her name was. When she was in the pool, That one was. I mean, I didn't expect him to stab her like under the thing. I thought he was gonna pull her into the water and then kill her. But he did not. He did not do that. Um, I mean, I don't remember how he killed this guy, but you know, like when I forgot all their names. They do have a lot of names, but like it's like towards the end when the sister is like running around trying to get out, and she like opens the door and she sees like this guy pinned to like the door. That scene was pretty gruesome, and then Jason just like rips him off. I was like, what the fuck? Honestly, his the kill like his kill, you know, when whatever his name was, the kid, when he was like killing Jason, that scene also I think was pretty gruesome. Cause
Tommy.
like yeah, because you just didn't expect him to do that, and I was like, I mean, I guess it makes sense, you know, you have
He
to make
shaved his
sure
head
that
and everything.
yeah, you know, like you have to make sure that he's dead. I guess that makes sense. But I was like, but you know, like after a while, you know, you gotta you gotta
That
chill.
kid lost his mind.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, the fact. Okay, we'll talk about this afterwards. But whatever. I have opinions about Tommy, but yeah, it's just kind of those kills.
What about you, Candy? What kills stood out? Good, bad, indifferent.
I thought the Rob Dyer death was actually kind of funny. Like the whole like right as he's getting a machete to the gut. But also stupid. That scene made me realize how dumb Trish was because she's like just standing there.
Well, see, I was going to mention this later for the behind the scenes part, but that actually wasn't supposed to be funny. It was actually based off like something that actually happened in New York.
What?
Yeah, some guy was being stabbed to death and like on the street in New York City, and he was just screaming, "Please stop! You're hurting me! Please stop! You're killing me!" And like no one nearby stopped it or called the police. They were just listening to this guy be murdered in the middle of like a New York street. So that's what they were referencing, but
Wasn't
it
isn't
didn't
it like
come
an
off.
infamous story? Like I feel like I heard about that.
Well, see, I watched the documentary, and they mentioned that as well. They mentioned like the same exact story. So I'm think it's real. That's what the writer said in the documentary. But either way, it didn't come off
Hmm.
that way in the movie. It came off like really laughable. Like it was funny and like awkward at the same time because she was at the top of the staircase, just like listening. I'm like, you should be leaving. You should be running or like doing something.
Or helping at least. I think I forgot if she was standing with the machete with like a weapon too, whether it was a hammer or machete.
At
Just
that point,
stands
you get
there,
the fuck out.
goes upstairs, and then comes back downstairs to fight Jason again. And like, well, you could have done that 5 minutes ago when Rob was still alive, but you fucking dipped.
Anything else?
Uh, the Jason death was pretty cool. So cool in fact that it was actually put in the video game too.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it's just so cool, and like you said, like that was like the definitive death because up to this point we understood that Jason was human, even though he could take a lot of damage, but he was still just human until we get to the future to like the sequels, which we won't talk about, but yeah, because you never actually saw him get shot or anything, but knife attacks, machete attacks, you could you know kind of play it off as like, oh, he just got wounded or something. The Jason kill was awesome.
What about you, Tuan?
I think my favorite death scenes in the movie or kills were Doug and Sarah, the couple that was like they were having sex in the shower together, and then Sarah left and I think went downstairs. Well, no, she was still upstairs. I think she just got out the shower, and then Jason like crushed Doug's head against like the shower wall. Um, I thought that was a good one, and also Sarah's. Now, okay, I thought Doug's was a good kill, and I thought Sarah's was hilarious because when that axe just came nowhere out the door, I I was not ready because it was just too funny. Like I don't know, the timing of it was funny, and the way her body kind of knocked back like took me out also. And it shouldn't be funny, but like just the way that it happened, and like Jason having like powers at this point, I guess because like he just knew where she was, and he timed it so perfectly. Like he he threw it right through the door, and she was immediately dead. Also, her towel was strong, bro. She was running down the stairs with her towel. That thing was not coming apart. It was not coming apart. She had a powerful weapon in that towel. But yeah, I think those are my two favorite kills of this movie at least. And so yeah, if that's it, then yeah, I think those are my two favorite kills of this movie.
What about you, Rudy?
One of my favorite ones is when he kills the nurse. It was brief, but I don't know. And it's very Michael Myers esque, like the way he just like stabs her with the little whatever the fuck knife you call. Uh,
The
that's
hospital scene did remind me
yeah,
of like Halloween 2.
very much. Yeah, like the way
I
she just
feel like
lifted him.
it always does that now. After Halloween 2, any hospital scene makes me think of it.
Yeah, of Michael. That's like his signature move when he's just like stabs the fuck out of you and you're like in the air. He gutted the fuck out of her, but they cut that scene, which I'm mad. The other one is I don't see. I'm horrible with names, so don't crucify me, audience. But that one chick that's eating a banana and she gets killed off.
Oh, they don't even say her name. She doesn't even have like lines really.
That shit was hilarious. Like it was random, and the banana was just like, yeah, that was my favorite scene too.
When
That was
she's like dying, like when you don't see her be killed, but you see the
you,
banana being squeezed.
yeah, I remember it because of the banana. And Tawan also mentioned the shower scene with the guy getting his face bashed against the wall. That was really good. That was vicious. Um, my least favorites. Do I even have a least favorite in this movie? I don't think I do. I think all death scenes are equally kind of fun, honestly. This is when they started like getting creative with death scenes in the franchise, to be honest.
For me, it's when he killed what's one of the twins. I think it was Tina when she's in the bathroom and she's looking out the window and then nothing happens and then she like steps back and he just like pops through the window and throws her ass because the scene when he threw her, like when her body is like flying through the air, it's noticeably a dummy by the time it hits the car. But it's still a good scene though. That and also when he kills the character Jimbo, when he sticks his hand with the corkscrew. Like I'm not gonna lie, whenever I see a corkscrew, I think about that scene. Like, damn, he really stuck corkscrew in that man's hand. And not that it's my favorite scene, just think it's random that we just randomly see the mom's body. We don't even see her get killed. Like she just disappears and then her body's found. But that's it. That's it for me at least. But Rudy, what are some standout scenes? Good, bad, and different?
Standout scenes. Oh, good question. With this movie specifically, so what does stand out? I okay. I'm gonna start with my least favorite. I was a fan of them doing like the whole recap and the introduction, but it was too fucking long at this point in this movie. Like they went from all the way part one, no, from part one to the recent, killings, and it took. I don't even. I was trying to time it. Like, how long did it take for that intro to be finally over? So we got to that hospital scene,
It was
and
like
then we
15 minutes.
yeah, but it seemed like an eternity, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why do people have to be reminded of what happened prior to this? I guess that's how it was back in the day with movies, but then it took forever to finally get to the main characters, and it's like a slow build up. I didn't like that throughout this movie. It was like too slow for me. Um, what is? I don't think I have any standout scenes. Like I mean, besides the kill scenes, but something that like actually made me go wow. I just I can't think of it right now.
Maria.
The scene where I think her name was Tina gets thrown out. That scene, it was really, really, really good. Cause yeah, you can't really tell that if it was like a doll or not. I feel like I don't know. It was like a really good scene. Um, what other scene? The scene where that girl gets stabbed. For me, it was weird. Cause like she's getting stabbed, and the camera just zooms in on her banana. Like what? Like why the banana?
I'm assuming sexual innuendo. That's the only thing I could get. I don't know. Like they were being horny, so I don't know.
They were
Seeing
there.
the uncut version, like watching her face that she's getting killed, looks disgusting. So I'm glad they cut to the banana instead. Because
Really?
there's like spit and slob coming out. It's not good. Also, you could the link I sent is like the uncut kills. It doesn't look good.
Huh. Interesting. Um, I don't know. This movie just didn't really like stick. I guess there wasn't anything where I was like, "Wow." I was mostly just like, Why would they do that?" But it's mostly just about the characters, to be honest. Um, like that scene where they're like watching old porn or whatever it is, like, and and they're just like laughing at it, and I'm just like, okay. It was just like, I mean, I understand why the scene is in there. I just don't understand why they played out that scene for so long. You know what I mean? I feel like they were watching that for so long. Like for like a good like 3 kills they were watching that. I think that's it. Like I really don't have anything big to say scene-wise. It's mostly just like my issues with the characters, I guess. Um yeah, that's pretty much it.
Tuan.
I'm trying to think back in. I think well one scene I will say did like was near the end where Tommy is visiting Trish in the not hotel, in the hospital, and he gives like that look to the camera. For a child actor, that was a pretty little disturbing look that he gave to the camera at the end. He was selling that whatever is about to happen next in the series. They're
I
keeping it open.
mean, that's the reason why Corey Feldman was booked and busy for all of the '80s.
Yeah, that was a very like hardcore look that he gave to the camera when he was like when it like zoomed in on him. But yeah, I did like that scene. Also, I also honestly like he was just pretty smart throughout the movie, especially at the end. Like I would say also the scene where he like did the little makeup and stuff on him to make himself kind of look like a younger Jason. That's what he was going for, right? To look like Jason. Is that's correct?
Yep, because he was looking at like news clippings
Yeah,
and he
in the
saw
in the
photos of Jason.
newspaper. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, that was smart because I don't know, I probably would have just left to be honest. Like, I
it
probably would
kind
have
of
died.
reminded me of part two when Jenny
Yeah,
like used that like reverse psychology and made him think that she was his mother.
yeah, which I do feel like in my head that works more. Like, I don't know if I feel like Jason would have fell for what Tommy did, but just the fact that he even tried to do something instead of just running up and possibly dying, um, that was smart on his end. So I did like that scene. It showed a character having some ingenuity. Because in the third movie, we got like no ingenuity as much. Like at least towards the end, yeah. But um, from a kid, it was pretty smart. So I did like both of those scenes with Tommy.
Kennedy.
Well, I already talked about some of my favorite kills, but in terms of some of the scenes that I found notable, with regards to Rob Dyer, because I actually thought he was a pretty decent character. I don't think he was like unlikable or anything like that. Um, I thought the scene where he goes to the Jarvis house for the first time and Tommy takes him up to his room and like shows him his masks and stuff was a little bit was cute, a little heartwarming. Kind of reminds me a little bit of of Stranger Things, to be honest, the first season when and Will they're like in Jonathan's room and he's like playing his music. Um, so kind of sucks that he died. I would like to have seen more of him. Also the Crispin Glover dance. I'm surprised nobody found that like silly or anything. A very stupid dance, but very Crispin Glover. Like, yeah, I expect Crispin Glover to dance all stupid like that.
Well, the song that he was dancing to isn't the song that we hear in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess copyright, huh?
No, they just wanted him that they wanted the dance to be awkward, so they had him dance to one song and then put dubbed in a completely different song so he'd be off key, be off beat.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
No, that's all for me at the moment.
For me, I think the scenes with Rob confused me because it doesn't match up with the rest of the first two movies, the previous two movies. So his scenes are confusing, and there were so many like the first three all had like their nude scenes here and there, but like people were just naked all the time in this movie, like for no fucking reason. Like the skiing dipping scene, okay, it's skiing dipping, you're in a lake, it's the summer, I get that, but then they were just naked all the time. But also still like the last movie we saw, but there were like news cars, news trucks, there was a news broadcast reporting that people were killed, like reporting on Jenny's friends, and like yes, we think Jason is dead, but like why hasn't the entire lake been informed of like what the hell is going on? Like why
You
doesn't
would think.
Trish and her right? Like if 2 days straight there's been murders going on. Yes, we think Jason is dead, but even that, like you guys don't know that the nurse and the morgue guy has been murdered. You guys don't have like some APB out on Jason. You guys aren't like warning anyone. Like what the fuck is going on? Like why isn't people on high alert? Why doesn't the entire lake know to pack your bags and get the fuck out because Jason Voorhees on a murder spree?
Yeah,
Like
that makes, and yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense because the lake should have been closed down at this point because this whole investigation is going on for 2 days straight.
the whole lake, like the campsites, the residential parts, the random. I mean, because this lake seems to be big as fuck. This lake because every movie takes part on a different part of the lake. So shut down the whole thing. Have cops around the whole thing. Double up. Like I'm talking about like 5 cops for every section just to be safe because something ain't right here. But then
Big
another
facts.
scene. My favorite scene is when Tommy's prepping. He's reading the news clippings and he's shaving his head and he comes down the stairs. Like when my first time watching it, I was like, okay, so Tommy's gonna be the crazy killer in the next movie. I get it. I like this setup. I thought they were gonna go the whole return of return to Michael Myers or Revenge of Michael Myers route, even though this came out before. I thought that's what they were headed, where they were headed. So I enjoyed that. But other than that, Maria, what do you think about Axel?
Who is Axel?
Honestly, I fucking oh Axel is the guy in the morgue. Now, Tawan, I have yeah,
Oh,
because Tawan and I have been saying that they haven't made any like sleazy characters since creepy ass
oh God, yeah,
um
he's disgusting.
creepy ass Mr. Steve Christy from the first movie. And then
Yeah,
here comes Axel. And also with Axel, he also reminds me of of Halloween 2 because they also had like some creepy like EMT guy who was overly sexual in Halloween 2. But what do you think of Axel, Maria?
Well, to be honest, I thought this movie had a lot of sleazy characters. He was definitely he was disgusting. I don't know, he was just like first of all, you're not gonna make sure the guy's dead, and he just had those bodies out like nothing. I mean, I get if you're around them so much, you kind of become a little like insensitive, but it was also like,
But who wants to fuck in the morgue?
Bro, horror movie morticians are so weird. Why is he eating around the body? I don't never get that. I'm not trying to eat around a dead body. I don't care how comfortable I was.
He was trying to have sex around this dead body. Like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, go ahead, Maria.
no, he was just very, very sleazy. No, he was not. I mean, I still like as soon as I saw him, I was like, ew. And then I cannot believe that nurse kissed him like that because I was like, girl, like
Yeah, like
he
you're
just
turned
looks
on by this man.
disgusting.
Like, girl, he looks like he smells.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Like he's not cute enough for me to fuck in a morgue. I'm sorry. you know?
His death scene was. I was happy when it came.
Yeah, I was glad. I was very glad he died. Like, I was like, great. Like, I'm glad he's out. He had too much screen time.
Wasn't he also like? Didn't he also like say to one of the? I think it was one of the police officers or one of the other people there. He was like talking about how like was he talking about how cute one of the dead bodies were?
Yep.
Yeah, like he was just making like weird remarks.
He was like, it's still cute. I wonder what body it was.
He was like, just go take a look. Like, that's no, please.
Because they don't mention a survivor. Did they mention a survivor? Because I know they mentioned survivors last one, but did they mention survivors this movie? Do we
No.
know? Do we know if Chris survived?
I don't know if they did.
Hmm.
But I thought it was like supposed to be implied that what we walked past her when they put the body in. Like it was remember that one girl getting like hugged by someone. I thought it was like supposed to be implied that was her.
Ah. But what about you,
But
Tuan?
I
What do
don't
you
know.
think about? What do you think about Axel?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely very sleazy. And yeah, like yeah, definitely our another sleazy character since the first one because the other two didn't have any. Which that I don't mind. But he was sleazy and like just for him to be working in, like a morgue and stuff. That's even dirtier. Like bro, like you those are people's loved ones that you're fucking with, and like just had to try to have sex around. Like I never get shit like that. But um yeah, didn't think much of him to be quite honest. Except yeah, he was like sleazy and then just trying to like do things around like bodies and stuff. So yeah, he I don't mind his death. I will say.
Rudy.
Are we talking about Exo?
Yep.
Yeah, I love this character. Unlike you prudes, I love a spontaneous man who wants to fuck anywhere. Um, and I mean,
Rudy,
even
no.
even though his
Rudy,
character
no.
even
But
his
he wasn't
character
cute
isn't
enough for that.
he was. I mean, Mark knows my type. I like the homeless guys. Come on now, like he's like no different than
Oh
them.
my
So,
god.
no, but going back to Exo, like his character wasn't as big for me to actually find him important though. It was just that scene, that small scene where they were in the hospital or whatever. But yeah, he was sleazy, and I think they incorporated that scene to just be sleazy with it. I mean, this was like an '80s slasher flick, and back then sex was selling a lot, so it was kind of pointless to show that. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not against you know his intentions, and that girl was going for it too. She was just playing hard to get. You get me? So it worked out for the both of them until they got killed off.
My only part with like both of the sleazy characters, like if you're going to have them watching porn, and you should actually have them watching porn because like you have this guy Ted was watching that
Oh,
old ass
yeah,
like
yeah,
porn from the 30,
yeah.
and
Like, what
then
the fuck
like
are you watching? I'm
this and
sorry.
Axel's like watching the fucking aerobics video. Like what the fuck? You can't even watch anything good, decent. Get a decent VHS tape. and be happy. But I should have said also, like, the hospital scenes without Axel was actually one of my favorite scenes too, because you have that scene where they like pan over Jason's body and like they show him breathe and then he stops again before someone sees him. Actually a
Yeah.
cool scene. Yeah. What about you, Candy? What do you think about our what's it, mortician Axel?
I mean, I think everything has already been said with regards to this character that has like 3 minutes of screen time. Like, I don't know, like he's a pervy weirdo who's into dead bodies, and it doesn't matter what age they are. um, so I'm glad he died. Usually I'm rooting for the good guys, in these slashes, but I'm glad that he died. Jason Gold.
Wow. Tuan, what do you think about Sarah? Now I have to admit I thought Sarah was gonna be the final girl because she just seemed like but then when she had sex, I was like, she can't be the final girl. She gave it up. But like for up until that point, like she didn't want to go skinny dipping. She kept her clothes on. She was like nice and quiet. She was reading her book. I was like, so is she the final girl or is the Jarvis chick the final girl? But then she had sex with Doug in the shower, and I was like, we're gonna lose Sarah. What'd you think about Sarah, Twan?
Um, I don't even remember much about Sarah. I you say that, and I feel like I say that a lot throughout these movies because like they just pile on so many people who they're just there to like die. But she did give off a bit of Final Girl energy, like she was like above what was kind of going on with her friends and things like that. So I do get where that sentiment would come from, but yeah, as soon as she had sex though, I was like, she definitely gonna die. Like it just never fails in this series and a lot of other movies at this point. So yeah, as soon as that happened, and then she did die. Um, yeah, I get it, and and it's like I don't. I guess it was like in a smart decision for her to just run like right out the door. Like I feel like some characters would have tried to like put on clothes or something before they left out, but also because it's supposed to be like slasher sleazy type of thing, she just had a towel on, like trying to escape. But also at least she tried to like make an escape. She saw the situation and immediately tried to leave. Now I, I know it's like a thing that people say Jason has like teleportation as the series goes on, but it was a little inconsistent in this movie because he was just upstairs, and now we do see that he's kind of a little more agile. Like he threw the one character out the window. I forget her name, but like the fact that he just knew one Sarah was gonna be there. Like, what if he threw the axe early? Like, I don't know, but she tried to leave and she just got penalized for it. But yeah, Jason was a little too quick with that for me.
Maria.
Sarah was that girl who was like didn't really want to do anything, right? Like she was the
Yep.
yeah.
She was giving me Alice the entire time until she had sex.
I mean,
Um,
honestly, I thought she was kind of weird too. I'm sorry. I mean, cause look, I mean, in the beginning, she was all like saying how she wished, she could have sex and how she wished she was like her friend, and then basically called her friend a whore. And I'm like, okay, bitch, like chill the fuck out, And it's just like, you're obviously there for one thing, just do it. Um, and and I don't know. She was like, okay, I didn't really think about her to be honest until the scene when they were watching that weird film, that film with like topless women, and she was sitting with her guy, and he's like all up on her, and she's just sitting there all straight, and she was like, "I'm gonna go to bed," and he was like, "You're tired," and she was like, "No." and like that whole conversation was weird to me because she didn't even look at him once. The whole time she was just staring straight. And I kind of understand. I get the effect they were trying to make, but it made her look so weird, you know? Like she didn't even turn to look at the guy. She was just staring. It looked like she was staring straight off into nothing. And I don't know. That part just made me feel very weird about her. Like I'm kind of glad she died. Like I was like, I don't know. She was just being weird. And also, how are you gonna go to the lake and not want to swim? Like you're not gonna skinny dip. Everybody's doing it.
She
Um,
didn't want to get her titty out. She wanted to read her book.
Everybody's titties was out though. Whatever. Um, I mean, she was okay. I thought I did also think that she was gonna be the final girl, but then they weren't really showing her enough, and then I kind of figured it was gonna be the sister. Um, I mean, other than that, I don't have any strong opinions about her.
What about you, Kennedy?
Um, well, like you said, she was the one that was abstaining from having any sex, and yeah, I do agree that she was giving off like vibes of being the final girl. Um, one of the interesting thing about like these movies, like in this one in particular, distinctly from the other ones, is that they don't really pay attention to the character. They don't really put too much emphasis to the characters. They're usually just, you know, for bodies, for the body count. Uh, but this one, like, I noticed that it does kind of drag in the second part uh of the movie because it genuinely tries to like flesh out these characters a little bit, and she's one of them. But and her death was definitely one of the weaker ones. It was like surprising, like, oh, she got the fucking stabbed through the door, but it was just kind of that, and then she just falls over and dies. I think a little chase would have been fun, or if it was just a little bit more creative. Um, so what a way to what an anticlimactic way of like this character that is a red herring for being like the final girl, and then just gets stabbed through the door and dies.
True. What about you, Rudy? What did you think about Sarah?
Sarah was, yeah, she was giving me Alice, and she was actually really, really pretty. And I never
She
really,
was pretty. She had a nice smile.
she reminds me of, I don't know, a combination of like, she resembles Katy Perry. I don't know why, with like a different actress that I can't think of right now. The girl from Bridesmaids, Helen. I don't know her name in person, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I
I know who
don't,
you're talking about.
the bougie one. Um, she, fuck, I can't even like, I don't have much to say about her because she didn't stand out to me in that way where I'm like, oh, okay. But she was like the goody goody girl that turned bad once she had sex or whatever. But that was like the reality of it all back in the day too. Teenagers, they all went from like being innocent to like full on having sex, and now they're just like no longer innocent. You get me? But there's something about her character that I liked. I just can't really think of it right now. The fact that she was just toned down. She wasn't like the other girls. You get me? She was more
Yep.
like mellow down, and I don't like the fact that she, I guess, didn't have much character development on screen. Oh, I can't speak. Character development. They should have given her like a backstory, and I'm a big fan of that. Like, in order for me to connect with a character, I have to know more about them so that I can relate to them or not. So that's what I wish they had done with her character specifically. But other than that, that's all I have to say about Sarah. I like her.
Well, staying with you, Rudy, what did you think about the mom,
Oh my god,
Tracy Jarvis?
she was so annoying. She was like the typical white suburban mom that you see in movies in the '80s, and they're just like so jolly and happy, and like, bitch, you're not jolly and happy. You're a Karen. But I don't have much. Fuck, the media's gonna like cancel us if they hear me say this, but whatever. I don't have much to say about her, honestly. I didn't really care for her too much. She was annoying. So
We
yeah,
didn't even see her get killed. It's just like
yeah.
she had her nose all scrunched up the entire movie. Like she just seemed annoyed the entire movie, and then we didn't even see her get killed. I was like, this is I want to see more, but whatever. But what about you, Tuan? What you think about Tracy Jarvis, Mama Jarvis?
Yeah, she also gave me that, like, white suburban mom energy, which I mean is to be expected from the character. But I did think, I don't know why I didn't like, because honestly this was my first time seeing this movie as well. Um, I thought the whole family was gonna survive till the end. Like I don't know. I thought they were gonna survive, like she was gonna survive with the two kids till the end of the movie. Um, just because I know Tommy is important in the other movies coming up, and I thought maybe they all were gonna like be together. But when she did die, which her death scene wasn't that bad, to be quite honest. But yeah, she was just kind of looking like like she was unpleasant the entire time. Like she's unpleased with everything that was going on, but she also wasn't like, I don't think she was there long enough for me to really have as much as an impression on her character as well. Because like just when everything started going on and people were like dying, she was like just next on the kill count, and then immediately just got taken out. And from there, I think it was Rob, Tommy, and then his sister and Trish after that. So, um, yeah. So she didn't really do much of anything for me, honestly, um, personally. Yeah. So, because I'm honestly trying to think back to what else more that she really did besides like taking Tommy away from the friend skinny dipping, and I can't really place what else she did.
Um, no, she besides be all mothering for those first couple of scenes, we really don't see much of her.
Yeah, like she
Like
got taken out really
once
early.
the rest of the well, yeah, once the rest of the kids get there, Rob get there, the mother just like disappears, and we don't see her until her body is discovered.
Yep.
But what about you, Maria? What do you think about Tracy Jarvis?
Well, yeah, she was kind of just there. If you like take her out, it wouldn't make much of a difference to the movie, I feel. Like she was kind of weird, I feel, like in the beginning. Um but then yeah, like she just dies and you don't even really get to see like her kill, which kind of makes you think that she wasn't really an important character to begin with. So then why was she there? Um yeah, other than that, I don't really have any like opinions about her. She was like it was like she was there and then she just wasn't, and then you just forget about her and that's it. Um yeah, I don't really have any like opinions about her. Except for the fact, why would she let her son bring this strange man all the way into his room? Like
Right?
he just
Like
he just ran in and said hello, and then he was gone. Like I was like, what the? I was like, man, you just let this happen?
with this like tall, beefy man, like
Yeah,
um, you don't know what he's gonna do to your son up there.
exactly.
But also, like the last time we see her, she's out in the rain, and then we see like a shock look on her face, and then that's it.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that she would have had a little bit more of an impact because she was a mom, you know.
And
But
this is the first time a parent is like present in the story.
yeah, but they just didn't really do anything with it. So I mean, I guess.
To be honest, if it was just Trish and Tommy, and they're like, "Yeah, our mom is gone for the weekend. It's just Me and My Little Brother, it would have been the exact same movie.
Yeah, I don't know why they made like their, because in the movie you can tell that the mom and the kids are really close, which is still kind of weird because either way they didn't do anything with that. It was just like her and her mom jog in the mornings and they go out and do things together, but then like the mom just dies and I don't know. It was weird.
What about you, Kennedy?
Ah, yes, the mom, whose name I'm not even sure what's her first name.
Tracy.
Tracy, Trish, Tommy. Wow, all T's. Uh, I think the worst part about her is that we didn't actually get to see her die. To be honest, that's the biggest shame. Off-screen kill. Come on. Uh, I wonder if they removed it for like the ratings purposes, because I know they have to cut out a lot of shit in these movies just to
Well,
make it good for rating. But
they have it uncut. They have like uncut on YouTube, and
is her death one of them? Or no?
she's not there. They
Oh, so
never
they
they
just
never
didn't.
wrote it or filmed it.
They just
Yeah.
didn't. I think that's lame.
Yep.
But you just your standard mom. Like, I don't really have too much to say about her, really. Besides,
Well,
the only other scene that I remember her being in was in that scene where Tommy is like peeking at like the girl that's like getting naked, and then like she walks in like, and he has to hide before she walks in. But other than that, she's not really that important to the story, really. They don't even talk about her really in the okay, that might be spoilers, but she's not that important of a character at all, to be honest.
True. Well, sticking with you, Kennedy, what do you think about Rob? Rob, who is Sandra's brother from part 2. Sandra, who was just killed 2 days ago in the story, in the movie universe. So, what do you think about Rob?
I thought he was cool. I know some people don't like Rob, but I didn't mind him at all. The generic, tough guy that's here to fight Jason. But I didn't find him obnoxious or anything like that. It sucks that he didn't have a more deserving kill, because like we talked about earlier, it was just a lot more funnier than what it should have been. It would have been cool if like maybe like in the future movies, Tommy could talk about how he was inspired by Rob to like kill Jason. That would have been a nice little touch. But other than that, he was just the guy that was like a potential love interest for Trish. He had a reason, a motivation for being there. But Jason just got the better of him and killed him. And now he's.
What about you, Tuan?
No, and I was just gonna say that, and now he's just always getting killed at the beginning of every match in Friday the 13th.
Oh, that is him.
Yeah,
is that supposed to be him?
Yeah, it's him.
Oh, I didn't even connect that together. Oh, that's funny. But what about you, Tuan? What do you think about Rob?
Yeah, I will say in the beginning, I agree about the whole thing of him trying to find out what happened to his sister, because it doesn't make much sense. Because yeah, it just happened, and I still have to contextualize in my mind that these movies are literally all like at least from the second ongoing to this one, they all take place in like the span of like 3 days. So it doesn't make much sense.
It's over one weekend. Like, she died on Friday. It's Sunday. Do your
Yeah,
parents
and
even have her body? Has her body been sent to you guys yet? Like, what the fuck?
yeah, like it doesn't make much sense. And it's like what it is like. It's not even like a minor thing, because it's kind of uh, like you. So you know all the information already. Like I guess the police were just like they were just given the information out
You
back then to
have
say
like
go figure it out.
you have like your newspaper clippings. They like look like you've had them for years. Like, they look worn and like
Like it
they're
was
like
2 days ago.
yellowish brownish. Yes, like what the fuck?
Yeah, so so yeah, that was kind of funny in like in like a continuity sense of things, but for like his character himself, like of course, like I would get like someone would want to find out what happened to a family member, or in this case his sister, but like the way he just imposed himself on the Jarvis family, like I know they like Trish was more than welcome to like bring them back and stuff, like Tommy, like Trish and Tommy, but like one, they should be more careful because like y'all are just in the woods right now, like y'all don't know this person, but also to him, like he he did it like I don't want to say like he seemed mean, but he seemed like really, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Like he didn't
You
really
could
give
tell
off like a nice
he had
vibe.
like some kind of chip on his shoulder. Like you
Yeah,
can tell
like
that
he
he's
didn't give off like a nice vibe. Like he didn't seem like, so someone like they found in the woods, they're trying to help him like get out or something. Something like he didn't really like give off like he was like chill. He like gave off like energy, like something was definitely going on, and he was like kind of not unhinged, because like I don't want to say he was crazy because what happened, but I could see how that situation will push someone to be like a bit unhinged. But like he was not giving like friendly energy. Like if I saw him in the woods and he was like, "Oh, like my sister, blah blah blah," I'd be like, "Oh hell no, we not helping him. He gotta go." So like I feel like he was not helping like them to feel better, but they went to go help him anyway. But he just ended up dying regardless, and um in a funny fashion at that. But um in between, and like from the point where they find him and the point where he died, did he even what much did he really even do to try to like find more info on his sister? Like I feel like after he linked up with them, that was kind of it, and then he explains to them what happened, and then Jason just came. I feel like he didn't do nothing else. I feel like if anything, he probably should have just went. He probably should have just left them. To be honest, I don't see why he stayed with them.
because he wanted some.
He wanted some of
And he
Trish.
wanted to kill and he wanted to kill Jason. He wanted his cake and eat it too. But he got nothing. What about you, Rudy? What you think about Rob?
Rob reminds me. First of all, let me start with I don't really know much about Rob, other than that. Other than I feel like the remake was inspired by this one because he goes back after his sister gets killed, and I don't know if you
Oh,
guys
it definitely is. It
know the
is.
remake where the brothers going back.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
So yeah, it reminds me. It's like Deja Vu, only '80s version of it, and he's not as hot as Jared, obviously. So I don't really have much to say about him. I just feel like he was just one of the characters there who wanted to be like the Captain Savaho, and I don't know. I wasn't impressed with him, honestly. I can I can honestly say that I'm watching this movie right now as we speak on the background, and I just he's nowhere to be seen. Like it's just he doesn't catch my attention. But what does stand out, like I said, is the fact that it got inspired by Friday the 13th. The remake got inspired by this one. Like
You
no
know,
arguments.
his character would make more sense, and when we get to part 9, there's going to be a character who's hunting Jason, and I feel like this character would have made more sense in that movie than the character they actually have
Right.
in part 9. But he just like Rob's like your sister just died on Friday. It's Sunday. Like why you have like this tactical gear and all of this other crap? Like, it just doesn't fit. And he's kind of bland. I'm like,
That's what I'm
you
saying. Like
give it,
it's not special to me.
yeah. What do you think about Rob, Maria?
To be honest, really, really, really thinking about it, um, he wasn't really needed in the movie. You know,
Exactly. Like a
like yeah, all he did was provide Tommy those newspapers to know who he was dealing with, and that's it. He literally came, was trying to find his sister's killer, and then fucking died. I don't know. I
I
thought,
mean, he did find his sister killer though.
but then he
Got killed
died.
too. Got killed
Yeah,
too.
he fucking died. I don't know. I don't know. Also, I thought he was old. I'm sorry. He looked very old to me. Like, he looked like a huge old man. Not old, but he looks very just older than Trish. That I
You
don't know how.
do this. This is the third time you've done this, Maria.
They look so old sometimes.
First is that poor lady
Hey,
from
look,
Child's Play 3. And
compared
then
to their co-stars, they look very old. There's no reason for him to be in this movie. Could have done without him. But he was just, I'm sorry, but he was so useless. You would think him coming back, having an idea um of who was killing people, and but then he didn't do anything. He literally didn't fucking do anything. He was not prepared. I don't know what the fuck he thought he was gonna come and do. He literally had a weapon and didn't use it. Like he didn't even put a scratch on Jason. I'm sorry. Like um I don't know. It's just I don't know. He was just so useless. To be honest, I feel like Trish did so much compared to him with the weapons that he brought, and like and Tommy. Tommy just took one look at that newspaper, and he was like, you know what, like I got this, and he did. Whatever. He was a useless man, and it's not because he's old.
what do you think about Trish, Tawan?
Trish was way too trusting of Rob. Like, you're a girl in the forest with your brother, your little brother at that, and y'all just helping a random man. Like, no, you need you need a little more. You need a little more like thought to the situation, and just in general, like even though because I don't think did Trish know if I'm recalling correctly because I watched the movie a couple of days ago and I just watched like a recap today. But did Trish know about Jason as well, or was this also her? Was this her first time finding out when Rob informed her?
She's finding out about Jason from Rob, which
Okay,
again, like,
yeah,
shouldn't the entire community know about Jason at this point?
which is very true. Everybody should know. Even if it's not about Jason, just in general, if someone's going around killing people for 2 days in a row and racked up like an almost 20 body count. So they definitely should be aware and not just trying to help out random like men in the forest, even if it wasn't a killer on the loose. Like, you don't know people's ulterior motives. Like, I know everybody's not bad, but you just need to have a bit more thought into it. So that I would say she wasn't like the brightest on trying to assist. And also I did feel like she was like a good sister to Tommy. Like they seemed like they had like a good little relationship there for like brother and sister. And um lost train of thought, sorry. I do feel like they had like a good little like sister like brother relationship. But besides that, like because because of like the movie take place with the other like cast of characters as well, like we didn't get as much of like the Jarvis like clan that I feel we should have. And I still kind of running with my point I made in the beginning. Like, I feel like the this movie really should have just been about the Jarvis family in general, like getting like taken out by Jason, like added some more family members, because I feel like they could have definitely um went more into these characters, even if it wasn't much interesting, because I feel like we didn't get much of like Trish, um, story wise. But like I didn't like hate her or anything. I didn't feel like she was a bad character. She like worked for what was intended, and but she didn't give me final girl energy as well. I will say the other girl did, Sarah, I believe it was. Yeah, Sarah more than her, I believe, gave like more of the final girl energy. But it kind of it I won't say it makes sense, but because with knowing that Tommy is like a presence and the rest of them, it does click in my head that she would be like the final girl in that type of sense. But yeah, I will say I didn't mind Trish as a character. They could have did more with her, gave her a little something, a little more to work with, but overall, not a bad character.
Rudy.
Okay, that's the one that I thought look a little bit like that whole Taylor Swift. I don't know why, but she does. I think it's just the face or the teeth. I think she was okay for a final girl. I didn't think much of her. I thought that she was just like the younger version of her mother, and at least she didn't give me like the bimbo vibes that like other girls have given me in this franchise. She kind of just played along with it so that she can get through. You get me? It's like a survival thing with these girls where they play dumb but they really aren't dumb. That's her vibe. That's what I got from her in the movie. And the fact that she was trying her best to protect her brother, I mean, just spoke a lot. But other than that, I'm I have no words for her. I feel like the other girl should have been the final girl. The one I said was pretty. I forgot her name. What's her name again?
Yeah, Sarah stood out
Yeah,
more.
Sarah stood out more than Trish, and that's crazy because Trish is the final girl.
Kennedy.
Hmm. Trish. I mean, I don't really have that strong feelings of her, to be honest, because the character that really matters is Tommy Jarvis. But I felt like watching the movie this time around, I just found her a little bit more annoying, simply because like what she did when Rob was getting killed was kind of dumb. I thought she was really stupid in that moment. But at the same time, like her getting chased by Jason and like going to the different houses and shit gave me like vibes from the video game. Um, God damn, that game is so good. If you guys haven't played it, but like she even jumped through the window. I guess she's a little badass. I guess you could say. But like, if you're gonna like, if she was gonna sacrifice herself for Tommy, because she's like, she's trying to get Jason's attention for Tommy to run away, even though he doesn't. He just stays in the bathroom. But like, if she was willing to do that for Tommy, I'm pretty sure she would have been willing to do that for Rob Dyer. Like she should have, but I guess the
But
story,
Tommy's her brother. Rob is some guy that she just met.
Well, yeah, yeah, but still, like she didn't know that I don't think that was even the same house where Tommy was, so she didn't have to worry about him. Like she could have just taken the machete and hit Jason's back, and would have stunned Jason enough for Rob to get back on his feet and run. The only reason why he died was because of Trish, because her damn foot just had to go through the fucking one of the stairs. But why would you like run away and then come right back? Like you could have just defended Rob when he needed it, but I actually found her a little bit less likable this time around. Um, I'm fine with her not being in the future movies, to be honest.
Maria.
To be honest, she was really like irrelevant until the end. She wasn't really there. Like you see her being introduced in the beginning, and you see her, interacting a little bit with the teenagers that are about to get killed, but then she disappears, and she's not there until all the kids start dying, and her brother for some reason are on the way over there, and they meet up with Rob, and then suddenly she's over here, with her final girl moment. Like it was a little unexpected, which I mean, I guess maybe that was if that's what they were going for. But it was also kind of like she feels like a side character that suddenly became a main character, I guess, Like she was kind of just there. Her and her brother too. They were kind of just there like on the side until, you know, they suddenly became relevant, which was towards the end when everybody was dying. Um I do like her though as a final girl because she did fight. Like she fought hard. um, but yeah, that scene when Rob was dying and he told her to run at least like 10 times, and this bitch was just standing there watching Jason stab the fuck out of this guy out of him. And but I mean, she was okay, I guess. You know, I didn't really like see her in any negative light, but it's also just kind of I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it. She just, because just like in the beginning, she just wasn't there. She was just kind of there. You see her with her mom, with her brother. You see her interact with Rob, but then like that's it. Like you don't really get much of her until the end when she's fighting Jason. But like that's it.
Well, Maria, what do you think about Tommy Jarvis?
I mean,
This is your first time watching this movie, right? And you have no idea what the next movie is about. So, yeah, what do you think about Tommy Jarvis?
to be honest, I think like, well, I mean, I don't know if this is gonna be relevant like in the next movie, but like the whole mask thing was like, I feel like it made no sense in this movie because he makes masks, but then like that's it, and then in that scene where he shows Rob his masks, like I don't understand how that was relevant. I feel like it was a weird bro moment they had, or a weird little moment they had that made no sense to me. I don't understand why Tommy was like, I want to show this stranger my masks like right now, like let's go. That to me was very weird. um him It's just like him killing Jason. Well, first of all, okay, look. The part that got me was he hears his sister screaming, trying to fight Jason, while he's literally, first of all, he decides to very not calmly, but he's like cutting off his hair this whole time. Like he put fucking like shaving cream on his head and did the whole, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you hear your sister fighting, possibly getting murdered down there. But no, he's just gonna take his time to shave his head. And he had a full head. Like I'm pretty sure that took a minute. That part to me was so funny because after like at first when Trish was fighting Jason and she was like, hey, I'm gonna like I have to, like what she was like, I'm gonna get him out of the house and and then just run. And then, but he was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna shave my head. So he does that, and then she comes back and she's like, Tommy, and like she hears him, and she was like, why didn't you leave? That would have been my reaction. Like, bro, I'm here trying to like get this man, this weird dude with a mask, to chase me. Trying to get you to safety. And what are you doing? Like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, at that point, I would have just been like, you know what, Jason, get him, fuck him. He had his chance. Let me run away at least. But I don't know. That scene, I don't know. That scene was. I was sitting there with a lot of questions. Like, what the fuck, Tommy? Like, you should have just gone. I don't understand why your first thought was, let me shave my head. I know it was because of the newspapers, but come on, I don't know. Whatever. It was just a very weird thought process. And then him killing Jason very violently, to me, was unexpected. I mean, I guess if he was angry about Jason killing his mom, but he also, I don't know, it's just, you just don't see that type of like emotions from Tommy. Like throughout the whole movie, you don't really sense any strong emotions from Tommy besides like in that moment. So when it happened, it was just like, okay, I don't know. It was just, it seemed a little out of place. I mean, I guess that was the whole point, but still. Um, I'm assuming obviously he's gonna have a big role in the next movie when they did that whole camera zoom in on there. But
Yep, but it won't be what you expect.
well, we'll see.
Candy, how about you?
Well, as we'll watch the movies, the Tommy character will evolve for sure. Uh, I thought it was cool how they connected, like I guess the way that Tommy was able to connect to Jason at the end when he shaved his head. But I thought it was funny what Maria said because I thought the same thing. He was like just barely grabbing the scissors to cut his hair when uh, when Trish was in the house fighting Jason, and then like 2 minutes later he like walks down the stairs and like his head is already fucking bald. like like I'm pretty like I definitely noticed that too. But um yeah, actually I kind of agree with what Maria said. Like the family doesn't really isn't really that important until the end because they're just the last survivors. But Corey Feldman is cool, but there's nothing more I can say about that. But definitely that ending, setting up like, oh, is Tommy gonna be the next killer? I thought was interesting. That would have been pretty cool. Actually, it kind of plays into it in the next movie. But then that's all I'll say. But um, I wonder, I wonder how audiences reacted after watching that. Like, do you have any insight as to like what was the reception of that potential plot development for a sequel?
What about you, Tuan?
Tommy. So I thought Tommy was, decent character. At least from what we saw here, and knowing that his character is important ongoing. I would say it's like as a first introduction, it was good to see of him because it kind of showed that he was a bit um intuitive in the way that he, even though like the way he would the way he went about the situation, like literally leaving his sister while she's getting attacked to go and cut off some of his hair and stuff. Like in reality, if I had like say I was reading an article about this and read what happened, I'd be like, why the fuck would he do that? But for the point of this movie, at least this it worked because it helped get them out of the situation and allowed them a chance um to like kill Jason. And he was kind of a badass because I mean he went to town on Jason when he was slashing at him, so it worked out pretty good for him, I would say. But um he also like he was doing it a little too he was doing it a little too well, and especially when you get to the end and you see the little like the kind of face that he gives like towards the screen and stuff. It's like you like I know they have things set up for him ongoing, but it was also kind of like, yeah, what else is going on here, what's like the underlying thing at the moment. So interested to seeing that play out in the next couple of films with his like character arc and stuff. Which also I'm just excited in general to be getting a character arc for someone in this movie, in this series. Like it's like even though I'm sure like surely it's going to be a lot of side characters that are going to get the cut and whatnot because it's a slasher. Just a little bit hyped to have a character that we can follow along with and through a course of these movies. Even though I know there's a time jump, but it's just going to be interesting to see how it all plays off. So I would say for that alone, that's why I'm excited for Tommy's character, just to see how it all plays out in the next coming movies that we're going to see.
Rudy.
I don't know about y'all. Yeah, I keep hyping that little boy up, but I didn't like him. He was annoying. And I don't know if it was just like the fact that he was obsessed with Jason and he was giving me like. See, I keep getting all these horror flashbacks from other movies that remind me of these characters. He reminds me of that character of Halloween Resurrection in the beginning when that guy dressed up as like Gacy is in the jail cell and he's like obsessed with Michael Myers and he knows like his background story. That's who Tommy reminds me of as a kid, if he were like to be a kid, because he just does too. I don't know. I think he was just like low key obsessed with Jason that he was slowly but surely trying to become like Jason. Honestly, like an obsession. You get me? Um, I mean, his character did play a big role in the movie. Obviously, he was like important to his sister and all that. But I personally didn't like his character, so I don't know. I just That's just me.
So everyone, I think I'll pick. Wait, Maria, did you speak about Tommy before I skip ahead?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so well, since I am onto you, Maria, what did you think about Jason in this movie?
I think he was more gruesome in this movie. I think he was more like you could tell that Jason in this movie was on a mission to kill.
That's true.
I think yeah, he was doing a lot of things that I thought was like really smart. I forgot what, but I'm like he was like because he was basically in two places at once. You know, he was at the house killing people, and then he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the other house to see who else I can kill, and he was just killing people left and right. Like he was there, and he knew what he wanted to do, and that was to kill. But on top of that, he I feel like this time he wasn't just like killing kind of just to kill. Like he had like I feel like plans. Like he really thought about how he was gonna kill these people. You know, some kills were a little spontaneous, but they were also pretty good. Um yeah, I felt like he actually tried this time to kill people, if that makes sense. Like he was a lot more aggressive here and a lot more like he was killing like his kills were violent. Yeah. They felt personal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll agree also with that. He definitely felt like he was a bit more advanced this time around, especially with assumed teleportation powers, because he was moving. He was everywhere in this movie.
He was, and I can only imagine him running from one end to the house to the other one, trying to get these people.
Yes, like he was out here. But Rudy, what did you think of Jason in this movie?
Jason was at his best. I love Jason in this movie. His kills were creative, and I'm like a sucker for like blood, guts, and like just creative kills. And compared to the other previous Friday films, I think this one set the bar high for the next generation, the next movies that were coming after this one. His look was a look. Obviously, they made him look more realistic, if that makes any sense. Like just like his whole face and like his the way his head looked, it wasn't as deformed and like super Hills Have Eyes. It was more so like, okay, this guy is like something's wrong with him kind of look. So yeah, I love Jason in this movie, and he seemed more vicious, more angrier, and that's always a plus with any killer in a movie.
All right, and Kennedy, what did you think of Jason in this one?
Yeah, well, up to this point, Jace, this is probably the strongest Jason, which is interesting because he just died, you know, at the beginning of the movie, and he comes back with a bang. Um, but yeah, even like human form Jason, like you could see that this dude is still a monster. Um, and like in some ways, like he's like comparing like Jason to like Michael. Like we always talk about Michael being like the more predatory guy that stalks you, and Jason just kind of like kills you up front. But this movie is very like predator, like waiting for the right moment. And I don't think we give enough props to Jason being like the creative monster. Creative. We don't give props to like how creatively he kills different people. But like I mentioned before, when he was chasing Chrissy, like I felt that I was like, oh my god, just imagine just some big ass guy in a mask just chasing after you. Like you could see this guy running after you, compared to like other slasher killers where they just kind of teleport. Like in this one, I think you really felt it. That final climax chase scene was really intense for me. Um, and yeah, I this guy in this movie definitely he was definitely a lot smarter in this movie than he was in part three for sure. And I really liked him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I felt like yeah, I do feel like he was a bit more smarter in this one. He also felt more, I guess, agile. I felt like he was kind of moving a lot in this one, and I know I mentioned it a little bit ago, but it definitely felt like he was a bit of everywhere in this one as well. Like when he killed, I think it was Jimmy. It was like when he killed Jimmy, and then like the person he killed, like after that, he was like, it was like Jimmy was downstairs, and the other person he killed was upstairs. I think it was Doug, if I'm not mistaken. But like he was like he was upstairs. Jimmy was like downstairs, and like Jason was just able to be like in both places at once. Basically, the way it was cut, at least it looked like that. But yeah, I would say I did like Jason in this one. The kills were good. He was like playing into like a survivalist type of thing, especially in the beginning within the hospital. Like he was like pretending like he was dead. Basically, it's like he knew the situation or what was happening, and was able to like use that to his advantage and stuff. But with that being said, Jason was the last character in the character wrap up. So let's get into some behind the scenes stuff. So the budget for this movie was 2.6 million, and they made back 33 million in the box office, which not a bad take at all. I'm assuming that probably had to be. Assuming it probably had to do to it being billed as the final chapter. You know, they do that a lot to get the money in. And then also some interesting info about the movie. So Paramount had become embarrassed by their association with the Friday the 13th the series at this point, just due to how slashers were perceived at the time, and like also like there were a lot coming out at this portion, so they preferred to end things for good with part four, but kind of left it open. But they also got the original makeup effects artist back from the first film, Tom Savini, with him only agreeing to do it if Jason was really dead because he hated that Jason came back in the three prior movies. So that kind of checks off, which also shows why the effects were really good in this movie. I would say. Um, we didn't know that Mrs. Voorhees' first name was Pamela until this movie. Before that, it was just Mrs. Voorhees. They never said Pamela until this one, nor have we seen anything leading up to it before this one. Um, Also, the actor who plays Ted got high for real during his scene when he died, and that was his first time. So he was paranoid the entire time, which is why he looked actually scared when he got killed by Jason against the projector screen. And also, the actor Ted White, who played Jason, asked not to be credited on screen for the role. He really didn't like that he had to take the role and only needed the money. He also turned down the offer to return for future films. As far as the critics' reactions for this film, currently it sits at a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel berated the film on their show, with the former deeming it an immoral and reprehensible piece of trash. Entertainment Weekly, although ranked it the best Friday the 13th film, complimenting both its narrative and kills. So, moving on from that, we are getting into cash or pass territory. So, Kennedy, I'll get you first. Do you cash or pass Friday the 13th final chapter?
I cash. I recommend it. I think most Friday the 13th fans, we're not looking for anything deep or anything like that. We just want to see kills and we just want to see Jason. And it's Tommy Jarvis's first movie, so um, I definitely think it delivers. And we all talked about how Jason was just absolutely a beast in this movie, and he really was. Um, compared to like part two or even part three in some ways, because he just got schooled by Chris in that movie. But in this one, he just came back with the bang. Um, yeah, I definitely recommend it if you're a fan of slashers. This is a classic, so highly recommend.
All right, Maria, are we cash or passing the final chapter? In quotations on that.
Honestly, it's a pass for me. It is my favorite Jason. Like, I think he's really cool in this movie. But like I just can't get over everything else. I don't know. Like, there was a lot of things that were happening and I was just like, why the fuck is all this happening? I can't get over Tommy shaving his head while his sister's getting like beat up downstairs, I can't. Like, I can't. Just the whole I don't know. Like there was just a lot of things that were that was happening, and I was just like, this is just kind of like weird. Um, I mean, I loved Jason. Don't get me wrong. Like, if somebody had said, "Let's watch this movie," I would have been like, "Okay, fine," but I wouldn't go out and buy the movie. You know. So it's a pass for me. Sorry.
All right. And Rudy, are we cashing or passing on the final chapter?
We are cashing all the fucking way. I just like to say that Maria, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you, baby girl,
Really,
but
please.
if you
No.
didn't like this one, you might not even like the rest, honestly, because it's
No.
the Friday franchise is kind of weird. Like it's a hit or miss, honestly. Like some movies are great. This one's the best, in my opinion, and others will be. How can I say? Like, don't keep your hopes up or have high expectations for the next ones because they don't get better, but they also don't get worse. If that makes sense. It's just like a roller coaster ride. One is good, the other one's blah blah blah, etc. But I cashed because I think everyone, and again, like I said before, I believe that people should watch the movie for themselves and have their own opinions. I shouldn't have to say that I passed just because I didn't like it. Because who knows? Maybe the next person who's into horror movies might like it more than me and Maria or anyone else who's watched it before. You get me? So it has its moments where it's a little bit more of comedy than horror, but overall, I think it's a really good movie. And Jason did his thing in this one, and I think this is when the future producers or directors of the other movies were inspired by getting him to be this vicious killer that just kills recklessly and doesn't think. You get me? Like it's more gorier. It gets gorier. It gets more creative, and that's why everyone loves Jason.
All right. And to speak on his behalf, I wanted to give Mark's cash or pass, in which Mark says that he gives this film a cash. Mark says that I love this movie. It's great swan song for the human leg of the Jason films, and they are passing this one along, or cashing this one, I mean. And for me, I I think I probably would pass as well. I personally I think since the second movie, I don't know, these two after I like the second movie, but these two afterwards, I like the third one and then this one, the final chapter. They didn't really do much for me. Like the kills were good. I will give it that. Some of the kills in here were good, but um I don't think there was enough here. The only reason that if I were to give it a cash, it would like be closer just because the introduction of Tommy and I just know the character like goes into the further movies, but also I haven't seen them, so I can't even like I haven't seen the further ones, including Tommy, so I can't even judge on if that's like a good factor into this yet. So I personally will have to pass on this one myself. Um, but with that being said, before we I give our my final words here, do you all have any things else that you would like to say on this movie? Anyone? All right. Well, if that's it, then next week we will be back to tackle the new beginning that continues Tommy's journey, but not in the way that you all may think. Thank you very much, and this has been Haddonfield Horrors.
The Haddonfield Horrors podcast is a Letters to Media production.
Should we do an intro?